Hey there and welcome. Today, we're putting on our detective hats in tracking digital attackers inside Amazon Web Services. You know, when a breach happens in the cloud, the evidence, it's just scattered everywhere. And worse, it can vanish in minutes. So we're going to show you exactly how to find it. Okay, let's just imagine for a second the absolute worst has happened. You get that dreaded alert. Your cloud environment is breached. Attackers are in the system, right now. Your first thought isn't just, how do we stop this? It's got to be, what did they do? And where's the proof? I mean, seriously, where do you even start looking for the evidence?
Well, to answer that question, we have to dive into the world of cloud forensics. And let me tell you, it's a completely different ballgame. It's not like the old days where you could just go in and physically seize a server. No. In the cloud, the crime scene is virtual, it's huge, and you don't even own the hardware.
So what is cloud forensics, really? At its heart, it's just taking all those digital investigation techniques we know and applying them to the cloud. But here's the kicker, the key difference. It's actually a subdiscipline of network forensics. And you might be asking, why is that? Well, it's because literally everything is happening across this massive, distributed network that, you guessed it, you don't physically control.
Okay, let's look at the big challenges here, because they're pretty unique. First up, just getting the data. You don't have access to the physical machines, right? So you're completely dependent on the cloud provider. And you have to act fast because that data might not be there for long. Then there are the logs themselves. They're all over the place, totally decentralized, and they might just disappear, thanks to retention policies. And finally, and this is a big one, the legal stuff. It's a total maze. If your data's in, say, Ireland, but someone's accessing it from Brazil, which country's laws do you follow? Yeah, it gets complicated really, really fast. So when you boil it all down, what's the number one headache? It's this: scattered logs that can just vanish into thin air. Of all the challenges, this is the one that'll get you every time if you're not ready for it. And that right there is the core of what we're tackling today. All right, so let's zoom in and focus on the biggest player in the game, AWS. If these disappearing logs are the heart of the problem, then we need to know exactly where to find them in AWS and, more importantly, what story they can tell us. Now, before we go any further, you have to get your head around this one concept, the shared responsibility model. Think of it like this. AWS takes care of the security of the cloud. That's the physical stuff, the buildings, the servers, the big cables. But you are responsible for security in the cloud. That's your data, your apps, your access rules, and, most importantly for us today, setting up all your own logging and monitoring. That's on you. So where is this digital evidence hiding? Well, there are three absolute gold mines you need to know about. First up, AWS CloudTrail. This is like the ultimate security camera for your account. It records every single API call, who did what, to what, and exactly when they did it. Next, you've got S3 server access logs. These are the detailed records for your storage buckets, telling you who's touching your data. And finally, VPC flow logs. I love this one. Think of it as the bouncer for your network, keeping a list of every single IP address that tries to come in or leave. Nothing gets by it. Okay, so that's a lot of data coming from different places, right? How in the world are you supposed to keep track of it all? Well, AWS has an answer for that, and it's called CloudWatch. You can think of it as your central command center, or a giant logbook, pulling everything together into one place so you can actually inspect it, store it, and, analyze it. All right, we've got the logs centralized. Now for the fun part. Let's start digging through them and find that attacker's trail. For a quick first pass, the AWS command line interface, the CLI, is going to be your best friend. Just look at this. A simple command like filter log events lets you scan all your cloud trail logs for a keyword like access deny. Boom. Instantly, you see every failed attempt to get into your stuff. This is a classic textbook sign of someone trying to brute force their way in or testing out credentials they just stole. But okay, what if you need to go deeper? What if you're not just looking for failed attempts, but you know something bad actually happened? Let's say a supercritical file got deleted from one of your S3 buckets. For that, you need to bring out the big guns, and that's Amazon Athena. This tool is awesome. It lets you run full-blown SQL queries right on top of your log files. So with a query like this one, you can ask a super specific question. Show me the exact timestamp, the IP address, and the user that deleted something. This is how you point the finger. This is how you go from I think something bad happened to I know who did it. Now, logs are fantastic for telling you what happened at the account level, but they don't always tell you the whole story of what an attacker did once they got inside a specific machine. For that, we need to zoom out a bit and look beyond just the logs. We need to look at the virtual server itself.
So, if an attacker breaks into one of your virtual servers, what AWS calls an EC2 instance, you have to treat it like a real-world crime scene. You need a perfect copy to analyze, and this process here is absolutely critical. First, you isolate the machine, cut it off from the network so it can't do any more damage. Then you take a snapshot of its hard drive to preserve all the evidence, just like bagging evidence at a crime scene. From there, you spin up a brand new, clean forensic workstation, attach a copy of that snapshot, and start your analysis. This way, you never ever contaminate the original evidence.
Okay, so let's wrap this up. What do you really need to remember from all this? Number one, logs are everything. In the cloud, they are your primary source of evidence, period. Number two, centralize, centralize, centralize. Get everything into a tool like CloudWatch before a crisis hits so you're not scrambling. Number three, know your tools. Get your hands dirty with the CLI for quick scans and learn to love Athena for those deep dives. And finally, and maybe most importantly, this evidence has a shelf life. It can disappear. Time is absolutely not on your side, so you have to be fast and you have to be ready.
You know, at the end of the day, every single click, every command, every action inside your cloud environment leaves a trace. It leaves a footprint. Your logs are constantly writing a story, second by second. So the real question I have for you is this: when the time comes, are you going to be prepared to read it